Sex for grades. University professors sexually harassing and blackmailing their students.
Situations have been going on for years, and every single year, every single department, every single student, there's always a story.
We all hear about it, but it's almost never proven.
The very first advice I got was don't ever go to your male lecturer's office alone.
Good afternoon. Fine, thank you.
It's as if almost everybody in Nigeria and Ghana knows somebody who's been sexually harassed by a lecturer.
Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to believe victims. It is crazy. I know a lot of people that have been abused and nobody is trying to do anything.
For the past year, I've been working with BBC Africa Eye to build a team of female investigators. For the first time ever, we planted journalists posing as students inside our top universities, the University of Lagos and the University of Ghana, to secretly record men who sexually harass and abuse your sisters, your friends, your daughters.
A lecturer will say that if you don't speak with me, I will not give you mark. Who are you? It's about dehumanizing your fellow human being. I'm a human being. I have rights to my body.
You'll be shocked by what you'll see. Professors, senior lecturers, grooming and seducing students.
How many guys have today you have catered for?
How many guys today?
Not free for the girl, man. She's not paying for it.
Paying for it
With her body.
When somebody is trying to pressurize you for sex in exchange for marks, it is a criminal offense.
My name is Kiki Mordi. Lecturers who harass their students, I want you to know, Africa Eye has been watching. This is WFM 91.7. My name is Kiki Mordi, and today on the Woman Agenda, we'll be speaking on sex for grades, abuse of trust, verbal harassment. We all hear about it. And joining us in this conversation is Professor Olarinwaju Fagbohon at Lagos State University. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So, as a head of a university, how severe would you say the problem of lecturers sexually harassing students is?
The challenge is much more than what we are treating at the moment.
Okay.
Which is why all of us must be on the alert and all of us must take it very seriously.
All right.
The challenge is much more.
Okay.
Well, if you want to talk
I take this issue seriously. I was sexually harassed by a lecturer at university. It's been happening across West Africa for decades.
So we are dealing with an epidemic here. You know, the thing about sexual harassers, they groom you. You said that word groom. Groom you're not in a positive sense. They take time to pick their victim, you know, and then wait for access and opportunity to strike.
Thank you very much. It is 21 minutes. Academic institutions are meant to educate and protect our girls, but have become hunting grounds for the sexual gratification of men entrusted to teach. Our investigation began at the University of Lagos, or UNILAG. It's one of the most prestigious in the country.
Welcome to the University of Lagos.
Welcome to the University of Lagos. Welcome to the University of Lagos, the university of first choice and the nation's pride.
Everyone wants to get into UNILAG. Some of the most powerful and most influential people in Nigeria went to UNILAG.
Awazi is a popular radio host in Nigeria and a former UNILAG student. Like many young women who study here, she says she was sexually harassed by a lecturer.
1 minute you're there, an innocent undergrad just trying to pursue an education or whatever. The next minute, a lecturer is asking you out on dates. My lecturer asked me out on a date. Yeah, and I was, 16? What? Yes. I've worked with a couple of NGOs over the years, and the severity of this is crazy. It's just been so normalized. Let's bear in mind that the age of consent in Lagos is 18. Yeah. People get into uni 16, 17, some people, if they're really smart, some people 15. Yeah. That makes them incredibly vulnerable to predators. Everything just is set up against you.
For more than a year, myself and an Africa Eye team have investigated sexual harassment by UNILAG lecturers. We interviewed dozens of current and former students. We had eyes everywhere. To protect our sources and our undercover operatives, we designed these masks to disguise their identities when appearing on camera.
We're taking a lot of risks shooting this film, and a lot of the ladies that we're going to be speaking to, they want their identities hidden, of course. These masks, I want it to represent strength. I want it to represent power.
One name kept coming up in our research. A senior lecturer in UNILAG's Faculty of Arts, a former sub-dean, and the head pastor of a local branch of the Foursquare Gospel Church. His name is Dr. Boniface Igbeneghu.
Fellowship of the Holy Spirit rest and abide with us now and forevermore. Amen.
Several current and former students claim they had been abused or harassed by Dr. Boniface. Two of them agreed to speak to us on camera on the condition we hide their faces and their voices.
He's a respected lecturer. He's risen to be one of the top guys in the department. And so he comes across as a father figure that wants to protect you and help you through your journey in school, while he has ulterior motives.
He always seemed really friendly, but eventually, I could notice how vindictive he could be.
Okay. He comes to you and tells you he's a pastor, so you don't even see the danger in him.
So what kind of things will he do?
He would tell you to come to his office. He would lock the door. Sometimes he would want to grope you. Sometimes he would want to dry hump you. He likes to pick on struggling students because he knows that they are very vulnerable and there is nothing they can do.
I will try not to aggravate him because anything can happen. I will beg. I was usually kneeling down. I will just beg him and say, please, sir. Please, sir. So.
You're doing well, okay? You're doing so well. He doesn't have that power over you anymore. Do you want us to pause? Sorry.
Sexual harassment is actually a naked abuse of power and betrayal of public trust. It cannot be consensual because the power relation is not balanced. Somebody has all the power. The other person has little or no power.
UNILAG only published a robust sexual harassment policy in August 2019 after years of delays. It bans lecturers from a wide range of inappropriate behaviors, from making suggestive compliments to grooming to sexual contact.
They are not supposed to be predators, hunting those young ladies or destroying their destinies.
To expose Dr. Boniface, we needed someone smart. Someone who can convincingly pretend to be someone she is not. We call her Kemi.
I'm an angry Nigerian. A woman who is angry about the level of sexual violence against women, especially in universities, is something that has become so normalized. Imagine how insane that is. And I really wanted to do something about it.
First approaching Dr. Boniface at his church, Kemi posed as a secondary school graduate, the daughter of a widowed mother who wanted admission to Unilag to study in his department. She also pretended to be 17 years old, under the legal age of sexual consent in Lagos. 2 days after making contact, Dr. Boniface invited her to his Unilag office for a tutorial. At all times, our undercover operatives carried a panic button.
All right.
Justin.
Yes, I can hear you.
If secretly activated, the rest of our team, who were hiding nearby, would be alerted and come to the rescue.
So sit down. How old are you? 17. I look very big like this.
And minutes into our conversation, this doctor had complimented me 5 times about being a beautiful girl. You're a beautiful girl, you're beautiful, you're very beautiful.
Don't you know you're a beautiful girl? Do you know that? Eh? You are not beautiful, we are very beautiful. You are a very beautiful girl.
I could tell that the way he was talking to me was not normal.
You know I'm a pastor. Do you know I'm a pastor?
I know.
Good. Do you know, and I'm in my 50s, okay? What will shock you is that even at my age now, if I want a girl of your age, 17-year-old, all I need is to sweet tongue and put some money down, and I'll get her.
Really?
Yes.
I can get any 17-year-old girl I want. I just have to give her money. In my mind, I'm like, hold on, did I just hear this man right?
And then, Dr. Boniface promised Kemi admission to Unilag if she passed her exams.
Pass your jam, I'll give you admission.
Are you serious?
I'm an associate professor in French.
Then he invited me to his church. I attended. And after some days, he invited me back to his office.
Good afternoon, sir.
He more or less picked up from where he left off the last time.
You are a beautiful girl. Be angel. You look like an angel.
Even though I wanted to talk about admission, he basically forced me to engage in this weird prayer with him. The weirdest prayer I have ever seen in my life.
Lord Jesus.
Size little by little.
Lord Jesus.
So the prayer just went on and on and on.
Lord Jesus Christ.
Lord Jesus Christ.
I love you.
I love you.
I accept that you are my Lord. God.
His legs wide open, jiggling his groin, with this very uncomfortable grin on his face.
Come upon me as I said, Lord Jesus Christ.
As my personal Lord and Savior.
As my personal Lord and Savior.
My eyes were never closed during that prayer. My eyes were wide open because I was uncomfortable. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
To the kingdom of God.
Thank you, sir.
Don't worry about admission. I welcome it.
After he shook my hand and welcomed me into the kingdom of God, it felt like I had been accepted into his secret world.
I thought you start knowing men.
What do you mean by knowing men?
I thought you start having sex.
And he began to show a deep interest in my sex life.
That way, you know, I don't think this starts having carnal knowledge.
Carnal knowledge.
At what age?
Why do you want to know?
I don't know. You're my baby, you're my daughter.
Mm.
Just talk to me free. Look, anything that we discuss, be assured that your mother will not hear.
Okay.
Anything that has come between you and you, nobody will hear.
Okay.
Okay.
I recognize what Dr. Boniface is doing. I know what it feels like to be groomed by a university lecturer.
Growing up, I always wanted to end up being a doctor. My mom used to call me her doctor, her little doctor. I was so fascinated about this stuff. I was definitely passionate then. I was so naive.
Becoming a doctor meant even more to me after I lost my dad from appendicitis in 2002. At 19, I got into one of the best universities in Nigeria.
So, my matriculation pictures, I was a happy girl, just floating through life. My dad would have been really proud and really excited to see me matriculate. I probably would have been embarrassed because he would follow me everywhere and give me hugs and kisses. Yeah, he used to embarrass me a lot.
University was nothing like I imagined. A lecturer began to target me. For 2 semesters, he withheld my exam results and pretended I never sat the papers. When I asked him to explain why, he repeatedly demanded to have sex with me.
And I wasn't going to do that. And as a result, right, my results suffered. I never ever imagined that I would be a victim. Unprovoked, I didn't do anything. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure my dad was there.
I never got a degree. I never graduated. The harassment forced me to drop out of university. I had nobody to turn to, no future, no money. It almost destroyed me.
There are predators everywhere in the universities. And it kills me that there are thousands of other girls that are going through exactly, different variations of what I went through. I really want those lecturers to get justice, what they deserve.
Sexual predators in university are not just my country's problem. Of all the universities in West Africa, the University of Ghana in Accra is one of the most impressive. Its huge campus has produced some of the greatest minds in Ghana. Presidents have studied here. But beneath this grandeur, sexual abuse lurks here too.
Let me see if you still have another one.
And women are now taking matters into their own hands.
Okay, so I'm the lecturer. I call you, come. Hey, pick this thing for me. Hey.
Harassment here is said to be so bad. An NGO run by former students offers free self-defense classes, role-playing attacks by lecturers and other predators.
Okay.
How severe would you say this is?
Very severe. Very severe. I would say severe because when you have somebody in a place of power or somebody who can help you in a certain way, I think that it's very difficult for you to reject, a person like that. And if your degree is on the line, I do think that you would do anything for that.
Which one was this, guys? Please remind me.
Very good. Look.
We're not going to keep quiet anymore because that's what perpetrators actually bank on. They rely on your silence. Yeah.
Africa Eye sent a team to investigate sexual harassment inside the University of Ghana, finding evidence some lecturers pressure their students for sex. Several stories involved a lecturer in the College of Education, Dr. Paul Kwame Butako. Our undercover operative, Zara, posed as a final year student interested in a master's degree and national service opportunities in his faculty. This was only the second time Dr. Butako had invited her to meet with him in private.
What I noticed was in our interactions, he would be very blunt on the phone, very professional. But anytime I went to see him in his office, he would be extremely inappropriate with me.
How many guys have today you are beautiful?
How many guys today? I told him relationships were a distraction if you're in school. And he said he wouldn't be a distraction because he was going to be a side guy.
Let it be your side guy.
Side guy.
No, men have side chicks.
A side, as he put it, is he basically wanted to be my boyfriend, but not the main person.
University policy forbids lecturers having sexual relationships with students when they are in a position to influence their education or career. Flirtatious behavior is considered misconduct.
Maybe you'll be my side, I'll also be your side. Because, I mean, I'm married, my wife is not in the country, though. My wife is out of the country.
So even though he didn't explicitly say that the condition for me advancing in my career was for me to be in a relationship with him or for him to be my side, he kind of hinted that it will benefit me in a certain way in my career.
No distractions, your focus is to be on your career. Then the side we see how best you can also contribute to your career and making you to become a better person. At this level, at this age, you have to surround yourself with people who can contribute to your career.
He has made it seem as if you have a choice, but really, you don't. Because he is in a place of power. That's really the essence of manipulation. To make it seem like the decision is in your hands, but really it's not.
During these conversations, Dr. Butako offered a national service work placement in his department to Zara, despite telling her the deadline for applications had passed.
Yeah, let me be your side guy. Okay? I'll not give you trouble. Seriously, I'll not give you trouble. I'll not give you trouble. I'll not be a distraction in your life. Let me be your side guy.
Dr. Butako vehemently denies any amorous behavior with Zara or with any University of Ghana student, saying he follows all university sexual harassment and misconduct rules. He says no formal harassment complaints have ever been lodged against him. He told us he never made inappropriate gestures or verbal comments, had no intentions of dating her or circumventing university process to secure a national service placement for Zara in return for sex, and had absolutely nothing to do with her future academic progression or career options. Comments about Zara being his side chick and him being her side guy, coupled with telling her she was beautiful, were harmless and a joke, he says, said without ill will or sexual motive, and could not be construed to mean he wanted sex. Of all the lecturers in the University of Ghana, one stands out for his power and influence. Political scientist and outspoken commentator, Professor Ransford Jampo. He enjoys a great reputation as a teacher among his students. But he's also been at the center of allegations of sexual harassment. We sent an undercover journalist known as Abigail to meet him. Posing as a University of Ghana student from a poor background, she attended one of Jampo's classes. He agreed to become her mentor. She wrote him essays to review, visited his office 3 times, and he gave her good feedback on her academic work.
So the German situation, academic freedom. So Google what we mean by academic freedom in the first place.
Not everything felt normal. Professor Jampo wanted her to wear high heels in his office. And then, one Sunday afternoon, Abigail received a strange phone call from him.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
He began to tease her and accuse her of always being formal around him.
Formal. You want to talk about work, nothing else. It's sabudenche.
Abigail tried her best not to upset Jampo, who became increasingly personal and said he wanted to come over to her house.
Who is not married and doesn't want a decent lady who is also caring? Who of them want?
She reminded him she was a student and told him she wasn't interested in a relationship.
Well, right now, that's why I'm not really interested in now.
But Professor Jampo ignored this.
Well, prepare your mind because I'll be coming very soon.
Eventually, Abigail managed to persuade him to meet in a public place, a mall, instead of her home later that evening. We knew we would have to be cautious. Long before Abigail met Professor Jampo, we interviewed a number of his former students who alleged they had been sexually harassed by him. One of them, who we shall call Na, agreed to anonymously speak to us on camera.
So, you need to build that and call them into squares. You can call the
Na told us she was sexually harassed twice by Jampo. She alleges the second incident took place when she went to confront him about the first harassment.
I felt it was my responsibility to let him know that what he did wasn't okay with me. So I went to him. He apologized and he tried to console me, and in consoling me, he attempted touching me. I was dumbfounded. I just couldn't believe that a moment ago he was apologizing and the next moment he was on top of me trying to touch my breast, hold me, that kind of things.
She says her encounters with the professor and a past history of other abuse have left her traumatized.
It's difficult, and till today I can't sleep with my lights off. I get panic sometimes at night. It's not something you get over, especially when the person is protected and you never get justice for what happens to you.
Before Abigail reached the shopping mall, we knew Jampo had already crossed red lines over the phone. But we wanted to be sure of his intentions towards his mentee, our reporter. Abigail showed me footage of their encounter. As soon as Jampo arrived, he insisted on buying her shoes as she had reluctantly agreed to on the phone.
You want to buy something? I told you right into, so let me buy one. One for school, one for
I don't want inconvenience.
I've been kissed violently before.
Pardon?
I've been kissed violently before.
Have I ever been
kissed violently?
Did he just...
We were just talking about shoes and kissed violently. I was like, what is going on?
After that comment, Abigail felt it was better to just go and buy the shoes. Once in the shoe shop, Jampo bought her heels.
Stop pushing yourself away. Don't ruin my life.
Pardon?
Don't ruin my life. Stop pushing yourself away.
I had literally seen him 4 times, and all of a sudden, marriage.
Back in the restaurant, Abigail asked about internships, but Jampo had something else in mind.
I just want to wait. It's like grow a bit fat for me. I feel like I'm money. I can fit to my own club.
Hey, come on me out.
Watching the footage, this didn't feel like a real marriage proposal. The professor laid out how Abigail would benefit from his support.
You can phone and tell me that someone says he wants to marry me after school. Push you to do national service, you push you to do masters.
But he seemed more interested in other things.
I grab you and kiss you and here. By the time I release, you see all the sadness more. What did you do at SSC? You left out the school.
It's not true.
SSB and creating with the process.
Abigail was then pushed to have a relationship with him. After that, she rang the team and began to leave. But Jampo made one last move.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Pardon?
Abigail did not hug him. After this meeting, she spoke to Professor Jampo on the phone, and he told her it was okay that she didn't want to be his girlfriend, but she should continue to be mentored by him. Professor Jampo vehemently denies sexually harassing Abigail or any of his students, telling us he treats them with respect, care, and genuine affection and has never been involved in sex for grades. He says several students have made false accusations against him in the past, all of whom he claims were discredited after he confronted them. He says the university has never investigated him for sexual harassment. He told us he never intended to harass Abigail, did not force or intimidate her, and never knew he had offended her. He further claims he was entrapped, which the BBC strongly refutes. Telling Abigail he could help her to gain funding for further studies is something he had done for others, he says, and he had no influence over her academic progress. He says he routinely commends students on their dress and shoes and refers to all his office assistants as wedded wives, saying calling Abigail his wedded wife was a joke. How do lecturers like Dr. Butako and Professor Jampo get away with their behavior? The university has a committee which investigates sexual harassment. We've learned they've dealt with a number of cases where lecturers were accused of harassing students and repeatedly recommended these men be publicly named. But in every instance, the university chose not to do so. Is it hiding the true scale of campus abuse from the public eye? The University of Ghana categorically denies protecting university staff or students judged to have engaged in sexual harassment or misconduct. They say they've sanctioned individuals in the past. They add they've vigorously debated naming and shaming corporates and are considering amending their policy of not doing so. The university says they've been proactive on the issue and are committed to rooting out the problem, encouraging students and staff to report problems and giving support where needed. The university considers the allegations against Professor Jampo and Dr. Butako to be extremely disturbing, and both men will be investigated. Back in Lagos, tensions over sexual harassment are running high.
How are we surviving? What are we turning into? It's hard. These things happen every day.
Close to 200 people are out on the street protesting following news stories of women accusing a famous pastor plus a university lecturer of rape. Many men on social media have accused the alleged victims of lying.
I really wish, as a country, as a people, we come together and transfer that shame from victims to abusers. The shame belongs to them. They're the ones that should be ashamed.
Over at the UNILAG campus, our investigation turned to its senior staff club, a place where the most powerful academics go to socialize. We discovered lecturers were inviting female students there, But what goes on inside? When our operative, Kemi, went to meet Dr. Boniface for another meeting, she tried to find out more.
I'd heard a lot of stories about the staff club, and so on that meeting, I brought it up with Dr. Boniface.
There's an upper part of the staff club, where lecturers, when they take girls, they take them up there to go and smooch them. Romance them.
They'll take them to do?
To smooch, touch their breast, touch out their body.
Jesus.
It's a club. So they call it the cold room.
Inside staff club?
Inside our staff club.
He describes the place to me and even orders one of the female students who was in his office that day to turn off the lights just so I could get a feel of how this cold room is, how dark it is.
Put everything up so you understand. So you see the way it is now. It's not as if I don't know there's somebody there. But I'll not really be able to see the face very well. You understand? You not see, so I hold my leg, hold the big room, so everybody is doing whatever. But they won't have sex, but they'll touch and
Lecturers are only allowed to date students where there is no conflict of interest. And if they do date, they have to inform university authorities.
So lecturers used to have girlfriends.
It's forbidden. I don't know. They are human beings.
No, it means among students.
Yes, no, you can see if I'm there. It's an adult environment.
Is that allowed?
Nobody is allowed. It's not disallowed. Hello?
It tells me how the relationships also come with benefits, which are grades. Sex for grades. But won't the lecturer now be favoring her?
Yeah, of course, now that is the benefit now. There's something that doesn't have benefit.
But that one is not fair now.
Well, not fair, sir.
As in, you will not be passing her.
We pass her very well now.
That means it's not good now. Because the people that are red, okay, what about the boys? What about boys that cannot date anybody? They don't have anybody that will be favoring them like that.
It's not free for the girl now. She's not paying for it.
Paying for it with
her body. There's nothing good for it. She's paying for it with her body, so.
You just have to give it to them the way they want, and you pass. You do well. You come up with amazing grades. That's all it takes.
It's not good to just judge to say it's bad. It's good. It depends on what the person is getting from it.
Someone who claims to be a man of God tells me sex for grades is not bad, is good.
It's a dangerous world. It's a delicate world. So many things are happening.
Earlier, while I was keeping guard for Kemi outside Dr. Boniface's office, out of nowhere, economics lecturer Dr. Samuel Oladipo, thinking I was a student, called me over to him, pulled me by my hands to his office, and pressured me to give him my phone number.
It's the perfect example of the kind of everyday harassment that students face in Unilab.
Later, I told Dr. Oladipo I was a student who wanted to switch to his economics course.
Good afternoon. Fine, thank you.
He invited me to his office 3 times for tutorials. He was consistently inappropriate with me. It was clear he was more interested in seducing me than helping me with my academics.
I mean, how to...
Hey. At one point, he leaned in really close to me. I could see from his eyeline, he was, looking right here, like leering at my breasts.
Should I hold on to this or I should just look at the name around?
I tried to talk about education, but then he reached out and started touching and stroking my hand.
What's this?
It's drip mark.
When?
Since one time I had malaria, they had to choke injection in my hand.
Painful?
Yes, very painful.
He repeatedly asked me to the senior staff club. At the end of our 3rd office meeting, I decided to go. He seemed eager to enter. Once inside, he took me to what I later learned was the so-called cold room. This is the place where Dr. Boniface Igbeneghu says lecturers take students there to grope them. And I'm being walked into this room with Dr. Oladipo.
You look nice.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
How are you?
Fine, thank
The atmosphere is weird. The windows are blacked out, the disco lights. Women are offered alcohol. You look around, you don't see any male students, just girls. Right there in the senior staff club. Were these women students? I'm sitting down on my own, trying to avoid everyone, and they keep, telling me to dance, trying to pull me to dance, come out and dance. And this other senior lecturer, a really older man, comes and grabs my arm and tries to literally lift me up to dance.
No, I don't know.
And I'm telling everyone, I don't want to dance, I just want to sit. I went to find a quiet corner. Dr. Oladipo joined me.
I really wanted to get closer to you, but I haven't. You are not ready to let me.
I knew, according to the university's own rules, that a lecturer who is giving a student academic help, helping her transfer courses, should not be going out on dates with her. Because, there is a conflict of interest there. So I asked him about it. I tested him. I wanted to know if he knew the rules.
I don't know if it is right for a lecturer and a student to be, very casual. I don't know.
Who's the lecturer?
The person who lectures students.
They are both human beings, right?
Yeah.
Are they adults?
Not
children.
We are adults. Misleading me about the rules, trying to make it look like it's okay for a lecturer to date a student. When I told him I was ready to go, he was reluctant. As I was walking down the stairs, he reached around my waist from behind and touched my breast.
It's rude to hold without asking. Yes.
It's like I'm in this space all over again where I don't have control. How are they even allowed to do this nonsense? I'm not the only one that goes through this. It's everybody. It's like a rite of passage. This is what female students have to go through. Dr. Oladipo sent us this response.
Dr. Oladipo claims it was Kiki who greeted him first and says she claimed to know him. He admits he held her by the hand as she moved to his office. He says he never tried to seduce her for sexual activities, and it was a coincidence he took her to the so-called cold room. Visiting it, he claims, for the first time to attend a birthday party. He denies trying to touch her breast, saying he tried to hold her hand instead.
Sexual harassment destroys lives. A former student of Dr. Boniface told us he sexually abused her for years. She says that ordeal and past abuse has led her to try to kill herself 4 times since she graduated. We must hide her identity to protect her.
I can't bring myself to go to church because when I try to go and I look at the pastor preaching, I see Boniface. He touched me inappropriately over 10 times, I believe, throughout my stay at Unilag. I never ever gave my consent once. There was a time he was preparing for Bible study And he was groping me, and he was writing down scriptures. There was a time he told me, when he's done with me, he's going to give me to one other lecturer in my department to do what he likes with me. And then, when he's done, to transfer me to someone else. And there is nothing I can do about it because I won't graduate. I felt like I would be better off dead. I won't feel the pain I feel almost every day. I want lecturers like him who do what they do. I want them to stop. Nobody deserves to feel or go through what I have gone through. Nobody.
The final time Kemi was invited to meet Dr. Boniface in his office, it was a Saturday. He said it was quiet and nobody was around. We had a bad feeling about this meeting, so we called in extra security to keep guard outside Dr. Boniface's door.
So you don't need to stress yourself.
He offered Kemi non-alcoholic wine.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Serve.
Okay. It became clear to me that it was all a ploy to get me to be comfortable. Yes. Okay. I'll be obedient, sir. No, sir.
I will direct you properly.
Okay, sir.
So that you achieve your aim. Or enough.
We went from talking about me getting admission to him requesting consent from a 17-year-old to kiss me.
Do you want me to kiss you? Eh?
Okay, I've heard you, sir.
Answer. Do you want me to kiss you?
Do I want you to kiss me? No, I'm not talking about you kissing me. I'm talking about... When I wasn't giving him the kind of response he wanted, he became angry.
You want a kiss?
Do I want...
A kiss.
But this time, he wasn't smiling anymore.
If you want me to kiss, switch off this light, lock the door, and kiss you for a minute. That's what they do in the court. Then you switch off.
My hands are shaking, my heart is beating, but I'm still trying to stay calm. I'm still trying to do my work as a journalist. It's one of the most difficult things that I've ever done in my life.
If you agree, I agree. Authority will work here. Nobody will hear. Nobody will not hear.
After I refused to give him consent, he stood up and went to the bathroom for a moment.
He remained in there for just over a minute.
Stay calm. In my head, I'm thinking, I'm this close to getting hard evidence on this man. So I had to weigh my options, to press the panic button or just wait to see how far he would go.
Time for cold room experience.
Did you lock the door?
Yeah, it's locked. This is dark now.
Sir?
Come first.
I'm close to you already, sir. Sir?
No, sit down. I don't want to come close.
Sir, I've gotten the cold room idea.
Come close.
Okay.
Sit down. Sit well.
It's okay.
Look. I'm scared of
Yes.
My baby. No, wait. That's what I'm doing. I'm not going to harm you.
Okay, sir.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Dr. Boniface eventually released Kemi when she made an excuse to go to the toilet.
So that was the cold room experience, eh?
Okay, sir.
Once there, she locked herself in.
Dami, are you ready? Okay. I'm coming. I called a member of the team. I wanted him to hear my conversation on the phone. I wanted him to know that somebody was just waiting right outside. And so when I finally came out, he starts to laugh at me.
You are shaky. Stiff. You are so stiff. See you. I know you, baby.
It made me feel so small, so irrelevant, so like I was some kind of toy for his entertainment.
Dr. Boniface then warned Kemi there would be consequences if she didn't continue to see him.
Okay. I can call you to come any day. If you don't come, then I know you are gone. Then I'll tell your mom you are disobedient to me.
Okay. You know, there are so many women who have experienced things like this, even more awful experiences, and they just keep quiet. They just suffer in silence because of fear, because they feel no one will do anything about it.
All right, bye-bye.
Fix your friend.
Okay, sir.
This is not a story about bravery. I don't think I am brave. I think I'm somebody who sees injustice and I refuse to be helpless, and I choose to do something about it.
We put our evidence to Dr. Boniface, and he did not respond. UNILAG told us it totally dissociates itself from the alleged behavior of Dr. Boniface and Dr. Oladipo, saying as a reputable university, it's highly embarrassed by the allegations and wants sexual harassment of female students stopped. The university says it has a zero-tolerance policy towards sexual harassment, is protective of students' interests, and organizes new student orientation program to inform them of reporting procedures, cutting red tape to ensure swift justice. They say if evidence of wrongdoing by staff is proven, UNILAG will dismiss them. They did not comment on the so-called cold room. Despite everything I have seen, everything I've been through, I choose not to be a victim. I choose to stand up for these girls, to help expose those who abuse them. You know who you are. Students are watching. Parents are watching. And in the shadows, we are watching too.